romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. In today's episode, I chatted with USA Today bestselling author SARIAH WILSON. SARIAH discussed her new celebrity romance, The Seat Filler, and shared the story of meeting her muse, actor Adam Driver, on the red carpet. SARIAH also answered the question, is Star Wars villain Kylo Ren a romance hero? And she played a round of teen celebrity crush Q&A. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, SARIAH. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the release of The Seat Filler.
Thank you.
What is The Seat Filler about?
The Seat Filler is about a girl who goes and is helping a friend out and works as a seat filler at a Hollywood award show, which is a real thing. And they have those real rules that are in the book. I list them. But yeah, so it's about her meeting Juliet the heroine, meeting, this famous celebrity that she's had a crush on since she was a little girl and still is in love with. And when she meets him, she's just kind of overwhelmed, can't speak. And he's kind of a jerk to her, and it gets her dander up a little bit. And so she tells him, I don't even know who you are, which is a huge lie. But, it makes him interested and kind of start pursuing her, and things take off from there.
I so loved this novel. Juliet lives the teen wish fulfillment of a young Liz Davis, eventually became Donatelli, to date a celebrity crush. So it resonated with me on a number of levels. I understand that The Seat Filler is inspired by your experience meeting actor Adam Driver. So I'm going to sit back and let you tell that story.
You have to know I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and I saw the last Star Wars movie. And as a romance writer, I am devastated by the ending. Ben Solo should have lived. We should have had a soulmate thing. I was very upset. So I thought, I wanted to know, did they film an alternate ending? Will I get something like, on the DVD or something? And there's no one to ask. There's no one to go online and say, hey, did you do this? I literally said out loud, I need to ask this question of someone. And something that I enjoy doing, and I've done a few times in the past, is charity auctions. And so this charity auction came up for Adam Driver to meet him at the SAG Awards. It was put up by his charity, which is Arts in the Armed Forces. I'm like, I'm going to bid on that. Like, I'll ask Adam Driver my questions. And I didn't really know anything about him then. I knew I loved him as Ben Solo, but that was sort of it. And I went online and I asked his fans, like on Twitter, like, what do I do? And they're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you. He is like socially awkward. He hates red carpet events. You're going to have to carry the whole conversation. I'm like, no problem. I'll do that. Adam Driver's coming over. And you have to understand, this was like a huge military operation. Like, people were coming in beforehand and, where are you sitting? Send me a picture of you. And then, okay, we're going to meet here and this is going to happen. You can see him coming over. The man is huge, right? He's like 6'4", 6'3", and he's coming towards us. And he walks over, and my brain, I am not kidding you, turned off. I could not speak. I was just like, so he comes over and he's like, thank you for donating. So nice to meet you. And he shakes our hands. And I'm like, I have shaken hands with Adam Driver, so that's pretty cool. And he goes, so where are you from? And I remember thinking, why the freak does Adam Driver care where I'm from? He was trying to make small talk, right? But I am just so overwhelmed. Like, that was my thought process. And he sits there and he waits and he goes, where are you from? He had to ask me twice. So I'm like, oh, and I told him where we're from in Utah. And he goes, okay, where's that by? And of course, my brain can't think. Like, it'd be easy to tell him south of Salt Lake City. Like, everybody knows what that is, And I'm giving him these random landmarks, and I'm sure he has no idea what they are. I said, can we have you sign some autographs? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I had a cover of, there's a Vanity Fair they did of him as Kylo Ren that I love, and I had him sign that for me. And my little daughter has her autograph book, and he writes her this novel autograph. Like, it's so long, it's so cute. And I'm like, well, can we get a couple of pictures? And he's like, oh, of course. And so the publicity assistant took my camera and we got some pictures with him. He shakes our hands again and he walks away. And as he's walking away, I thought, this is a romance novel. The hero is based, of course, a little bit on Adam. There's some things that I think it's fascinating that he is an artist, this incredible actor that, has been nominated for so many awards, but he was a Marine, he was in the armed forces. And I'm like, that's an incredible juxtaposition for me. Like, this guy who's so big and burly and could, kick the crap out of anybody, but is so artistic and poetic at the same time. Like, I really enjoyed that. So there's some similarities, of course, kind of an homage to him, but it's not him because I don't know him or anything about him. That's the inspiration. That's where it came from.
I love that. I love that. So do you think that somehow Adam Driver knows about Deceit Filler?
That is an interesting question. I don't know. I think there's a possibility. I am working with his charity for the release of this book. I'm going to give 25% of the net proceeds of the first week to his charity. So we've been in communication, and I sent them a copy so they could see, kind of what it was. I've talked to director RIAN Johnson. He directed The Last Jedi, and we had an hour-long conversation. And I told him this story, and I told him he was dying. And I actually have RIAN Johnson in the novel kind of as an homage to him.
Parallels have been drawn between Star Wars character Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, and Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy of Pride and Prejudice fame. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can tell you what my thoughts are on that, and I can confirm them for you from RIAN Johnson, the director himself, because that very question is what I asked him. One of the things that I hear all the time is, that Kylo Ren, when he's offering his hand to Rey in the second movie, that it's a power move. It's like Vader and Luke. It's, I want you to join me. We're going to rule the universe. Let's join powers. And I asked RIAN Johnson, I'm like, did you see it that way? Or was it a Darcy proposal? Was it a proposal being done badly? He goes, oh, absolutely. 100% Darcy in that moment. Here's my thing. I want a Pride and Prejudice. I want it with Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. And I said, RIAN Johnson, you can direct it. Give me Pride and Prejudice. And he goes, I already have. So, the guy who made the movie, who wrote it and directed it, is saying, romantic, this is a romantic gesture. He's in love with her. He needs her. He wants her to marry him. He makes a proposal, which is why it's so devastating for him when she says no. He is absolutely Darcy-esque. He's absolutely a Byronic hero. There's just no argument about it because that is how he was written by the man who wrote him. I wish I could tell you the title. I know what it was, and I've actually put it in one of my books. I have a heroine who loves romances, and she talks about this romance. So it was, my mom was one of those Harlequin boxes coming every month kind of readers. She loves to read. My dad loves to read. So I grew up reading mostly my dad's books, fantasy, like the Shannara series and Star Wars books. I had so many Star Wars books. So I read all that, and I always kind of thought my mom's books were like I'm not interested. So one day I was so desperate that I went into her room and I'm like, all right, I'm just getting one and I'm going to read it because I want to read something. So I went in and got that, and I remember reading it, and it's about a man who's a Greek shipping magnate, and he has this rival, and his rival has a redheaded, beautiful daughter, but of course they can't be together because they're rivals. And so I just remember at the end of that they confess their love and their love. I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, they love each other. This is so great. Like they overcame all this. And I feel like you can only get that rush once, right? It's just that first one, that first time. It probably was called like the shipping magnate's redheaded virgin or something. I don't know.
Which non-musical celebrity crush did you prominently display on your bedroom wall?
Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff? Okay.
Yep. Which is why, and even before I met him, which is why when I met him, it was just this, I said to him, I have you on my bedroom wall. Like I said that to him. He thought it was so funny.
What's the story of you meeting Stephen Dorff?
Okay. So there's actually two teen celebrity crushes with this story. I was a fan of the Mickey Mouse Club back in the 90s. And there was the group that came out of it called The Party. And I was a huge fan of them. Chase Hampton was kind of my guy. I was a member of their fan club. And I get this regular mail, because it was a long time ago, that if I would bring a photo ID to Disneyland, for every photo ID I had, they would give me 2 tickets. So I'm from a family of 9 kids. We didn't go to Disneyland very often. So everybody's bringing their photo IDs. I bring my best friend Kenyatta with me. We all got our photo IDs. We're getting 2 tickets each. And so my mom basically let me and my best friend go off, and we were having a great time. So I go to the concert. Like that was the first concert I ever went to. I was 17 years old. My goal that day was to meet Chase at Disneyland. We're going to run into him. My best friend's like, I need to go get money from the ATM. The ATM's outside the park, right next to the entrance. Mm-hmm. And so we go outside and we're sitting in line, and I'm looking at this guy in front of me, and I realize at some point it's Stephen Dorff, the actor. And for those of you who don't know, he was in the Aerosmith video Crying. He's the boyfriend. He's in the Britney Spears Every Time boyfriend. He's a lot of TV shows and movies. When you see his face, like you'll kind of be like, I know him from somewhere. He turns around and he goes, hey, how's it going? Like, obviously he heard me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can I get your autograph? And he signs my ticket, my little Disneyland ticket, because we had paper tickets back then, kids. I said, I'm just so excited to meet you. I said, I have you on my bedroom wall. He's got 2 fronts of them, and they start laughing. And he's like, so hey, we're gonna hang out at I forget what it's called, the Opolis place. It was like a dance thing back in the 90s. Anyways, they were gonna go there and be hanging out like at 7 o'clock. Yeah. I go, I can meet my mom at 7 o'clock. He's like, oh, okay, well, good to meet you. I think walk off. And I was just so giddy at having met him, like didn't even process what happened. And my best friend's like, you realize he just asked you out and you said no. And I'm like, wait, no, I didn't mean that. Like, wait, what happened? And so we tried to catch up with them. We didn't find them. We went to the dance place at 7 o'clock. They weren't there, which is probably a good thing because I was a very naive and innocent 17-year-old and he was 19 and in Hollywood. So it probably would not have been a good situation for me. So I'm kind of glad that's how it turned out. Funnily enough, Chase Hampton, years later, it's very recently, he is doing stuff with former members of the Mickey Mouse Club. They were raising funds for current employees, who are having a hard time making ends meet because of the pandemic.
Right.
So they put out some musical albums and things like that. And so I'm like, well, I'll buy that. I'll help out because I belong to like an email list that they have. And so I'm looking and they're like having these little things you could bid on in addition to buying the album. And like for $50, I could meet Chase. And I'm like, I don't even know what I would say to this man. But I'm like, there's a 14-year-old inside of me that would never forgive me if I did not meet him.
Yeah.
So I bid, and he was very sweet, and it was fun. And I got to talk to him, and I actually named one of my characters from Starstruck, it's a book I wrote. His name is Chase, which was in honor of my teenage crush on him. And he gave me his home address to send him a copy, which I thought was really fun, and told me, if you're ever in Orlando, basically DM me and we'll meet up with my wife. We'll hang out. So someday I get to go to Orlando and hang out with Chase Hampton and his family. I'm pretty excited about it.
Which was the best teen magazine for spotting your celebrity crush?
I would go into like the drugstore and just take every single one that was teen pop culture, all of them. I read every article. I cut out all the pictures. So, it was exciting when I would go and like people I was most interested in would be on the covers. Like that was very cool.
Yes.
But yeah, I bought them all.
I would go to the candy store with my friend. We'd walk a few blocks. I grew up in New York City.
Yeah.
And we would walk and it would just be so exciting to see all of the array of, so I used to like Teen Beat for their meaty articles.
Yeah.
They had some good photos, but Bop and Big Bopper had the best pull out, and my mom would actually put them on cardboard for me and then wrap them in clear contact paper. And then so that way they would be nice and preserved. And then I'd put them up on the wall. And it was predominantly Kirk Cameron and New Kids on the Block. Did you ever write a fan letter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I wrote so many fan letters to Chase Hampton that the Mickey Mouse Club wrote to my parents and asked me to stop writing him letters. Like they weren't inappropriate or anything. It was just like the whole, I love you and I'm such a fan. And I told him that, when I talked to him, he's like, I'm going to go home. My dad kept all of my fan mail because obviously at the time they got so much. He's like, I'm going to go look for your letters now. I'm like, no, don't. Oh my gosh, don't do that. I'm like, I hope he doesn't.
Which celebrity crush did you most frequently fantasize about randomly meeting, dating, and marrying?
Chase Hampton, without question.
Well, SARIAH, it has been an extreme pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for joining me on Rita Seeks Romance.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a total blast.